they've sort of got me over a barrel at some point, because what they do, they'll work late sometimes.
Yeah.
They might work late once a month.
Yeah.
And then they'll be late one morning. I say, "You're late." "Oh, well, I work late on so and so." And then so then they stretch out, and then what happens is everyone sees other people leaving late.
Yeah.
And then if someone else comes in late, they say, "Oh, I didn't take a lunch break yesterday." So it's very hard for me to manage that, because
to be horrible.
Yes, you need to be horrible.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
You need
to be. Yeah. Because they will just do that.
Yeah.
And really, they shouldn't be working late or coming in at different hours apart from your set hours, unless you've agreed to it. Do they get paid any extra for that? Or is that
well,
just
yeah, sometimes they do. Yes.
even
so
worse.
this is the thing. Yeah. So sometimes they work late, and then sometimes they. So one of them said, "Oh, can I work late tonight? I'll do an hour if you take that off another day." And I said, "Yeah, it's no problem."
Yeah.
And then Claire, who's our sort of office manager, said to me, "He's been in 20 minutes late every morning last week." So he actually owes you that time.
Yes,
you shouldn't be letting him have more time off. But it's hard, because I'm not in this as much as I'd like to be able to see when they're in. So.
And also you need to be sure what they're doing, because sometimes people say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna work late," but actually, so occasionally you need to say to them, "And what is it that you're working on tonight? Well, when I come in tomorrow, I'll have a look at what you've done."
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because if you start to feel their collars, they business.
Yeah.
I think that is probably it, because obviously you're not an environment where you want to have really, rules, are you? You're a much more relaxed.
Trying to be.
I know.
I think as soon as we've gone from 5 to 10, it very quickly rubs off onto other people.
Yes.
It does. And you're right. And
it changes the culture.
Yeah.
Any group of 10 people will have one person who wants to swing around, to play the system a bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if they can persuade you that they can go early because it's convenient to them by staying a bit later one day because it's convenient to them, they'll be doing that.
Yeah.
But even with 4 in the office, I've got a similar situation, and whilst I've got somebody that is towing the line and he's late, he's making mistakes, and I find it very, very difficult to use that as evidence against him, because the other guy, the technical account manager, so the other guy that's doing that job, there's 2 of them, young family, sometimes does a school run, gets in at 9:30, but will regularly be there till 8 at night, 7 at night to get the tenders out, to get the job done. So I don't measure him by time.
No.
So to actually turn around and use that measure on somebody that's underperforming, he'd say, well, hold on, my timekeeping's no worse than the other chap.
Yeah.
So then you have to measure them on the actual job they're doing, as opposed to you can't bring that stringent set of we start at 8 o'clock on somebody when somebody else is turning up at 9:30.
But is it the arrangement with the guy with childcare stuff, is that something you've agreed with him?
It's just all very informal with all of them.
I mean, maybe what you need to do, what you could do, is agree the timing with him. And I mean, basically what you're saying is, this guy does a good job, therefore you're not worried really, are you? Whereas this other guy doesn't do a good job, and that's what it actually comes down to.
Yeah.
So I guess you've got 2 choices. You've either got get the other guy on the poor performance of his job rather than his timekeeping. You could choose, I think that might be it. So then you can't have that criticism about, will you treat him differently to me? Or you could sit down with both of them, probably separately, and say, look, I want to set the rules of starting and finishing properly here so that we all understand what they are, and they are this. The guy with the childcare, you're almost under an obligation to allow him some flexibility for that, because that would be flexible working for people who've got childcare responsibilities. So you would be able to justify that, providing you'd agreed it with him. So you might say to him, you start at 9:30 because of your childcare responsibilities, but you finish at half an hour later, or whatever your hours are.
It's not just his whole attitude towards work is entirely different.
Yes.
You know, he'll say, I don't know, he'll just spend the middle of the afternoon to go to his son's sports day, but take a tender home with him and sit there till midnight doing it and bring the work back in. You know, and it's just, you know, he's fantastic to employ, but you know, it's very difficult to hold double standards in
basically.
in the office, if the other person isn't doing that, that's probably, so it's made, it's got to be on performance,
I think
guess.
I'd go on the work. I think I'd try to get the other guy on the basis.
To collect evidence on his work
I think so.
mistakes as opposed to...
Because I think that's going to be less open to question, particularly if you feel pretty sure you can do that in terms of what he does.
Thank you.
And no, there's no one-size-fits-all answer, unfortunately, because every situation is different.